I've already been doing this for way too effing long. Run the tape. So, in honor of my 600th video, yes, you've heard that right. This is my 600th video. Appreciate all the love and support. Hit the effing like button for the YouTube algorithm. I do appreciate it. But in honor of that, so I'm just going to do something I haven't ever done before, is kind of just do a quick reaction to yesterday's video's comments. And y'all were popping off. The good, the bad, the great, the funny. Let's just run through those, do a quick reaction in response to some of these. I did respond to most of them on the fly, but I figured why not vlog it, like let's do it. Full send. By the way, go subscribe to the podcast. Link down below in the description. Every Wednesday, me and my boy Professor Oak upload a new video. Go check that out. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Up first, my boy Monotone Cards 7078. He says, paying a huge premium for red and white pieces of paper is crazy, but people haven't accepted the fact that they're buying labels and grades and not the actual cards. So that's basically kind of what I was saying. I completely agree. You should be just buying the card, not the grade. If you're just buying to collect, if you're buying to invest, could be a little bit different story. You got a lot more things to think about. Your upside potential, your downside risk, all of that stuff needs to go into effect. Great comment. Canto Shark, shout out to Canto Shark on Instagram. He said, staying the course. Lots of noise means there's an equal amount of opportunity. Shows how young the market is. Could not agree more. There is, like, related to the monotone cards comment, a lot of people are still learning. I don't know if the buy the card, not the grade thing will ever exist, because it really hasn't to date. But there is some effect. You do see some price effects. I saw it last night in the PWCC weekly auction. You do see some effects inside of this stuff. So there's just got a lot of learning to happen, and we got a lot of time ahead of us. So appreciate the comment. Up next, Schwally56. He said, great video as usual. I watched the Heritage auction yesterday. Man, I wish I had the bucks. I would have bid on almost everything. All CGC cards won at way below PSA prices. Also couldn't believe the Gold Star Charizard Gem Mint 10 selling for $7,000, 8 something with a buyer's premium added. That's easily $20,000 PSA 10 card. I'll be watching part 2 of the auction starting around 4. So I'm not sure about that. I thought the Shining Charizard was about $15,000 first edition PSA 10. I thought I would have pinned the Gold Star to be maybe a little under that or about the same price. I can't even remember, but either way, yeah, $7-8 seems solid for that card. I didn't look at the condition of it specifically, but all in all, not bad. Fern P628. Next comment, I have a strange feeling Logan might have gotten that CGC 10 illustrated card and gonna turn it into a PSA 10. He's speaking about the CGC 10 that sold in Heritage for under $500K. That'd be a smart thing to do if you already bought a PSA 10 for $5 million. Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad play, but man, yeah. It'll be interesting. PSA is used to upgrading those cards, so shouldn't be a problem, especially with the name Logan behind it. Next comment, X Jamiak. Oh, Jesus. The problem is a lot of WotC cards had pretty bad print lines throughout the holo. CGC would give them cards a 9.5. PSA would give those cards a 9, by the way. And now they've been upgraded to 10 when they ain't a 10. This is quite prominent in the Neo series, such as the Lugia, for example. I do agree. I do agree that they are more lenient on the print lines when it comes to CGC in general. Could not agree more. So that card, for example, has tons of print lines. The Lugia from Neo Genesis, tons of print lines. That's why you look at the population report. There is a decent amount of 10s for CGC. There are other cards, Shadowless First Edition base, a bunch of them, where the 10 populations are much lower. That card, the print quality for that Lugia, like the back, like the whitening is really good. There's I don't know what they were doing when it came to Neo Genesis, but they did something right. They changed their ways, because the print quality of those cards in general, the card stock was phenomenal. That's why there is a ton of those. The print lines, agree. CGC is a little bit more lenient on some of the print lines, but I do agree with, like, I don't think a print line should take away from your grade. I'd rather have a print line and a good centered card. Like, whatever, a print line for me is whatever. I do agree with CGC's grading scale on that one. I think the first edition Zard CGC 10 at 5060K was a hefty price paid considering the CGC 9.5 sold earlier this year for like 25K. That's a double up your money just for upgrading the label once CGC changed the standards recently. Thought agree with you in general. Though agree with a T at the end. That was Stocks-Crypto. I do think nobody was collecting 9.5s. Nobody was out there like going and chasing CGC 9.5s. People that had 9.5s just had 9.5s basically. Like, they most likely couldn't even sell them. They weren't really trying to do so. There's kind of like a weird limbo when you hit a 9.5. The number of 9.5s given out were not very high. I graded a ton of vintage WotC way back and got absolutely wrecked. Got a few 9.5s, 0, 10, like 1 or 2 10s ever back in the day. So them changing from the 9.5 to the 10 and people just gaining a double the profit. I mean, it's the same grade. It's a Gem Mint 9.5 and it's a Gem Mint 10. Of course, I do see your thought process, and I don't think the person, obviously, none of us, like, I had 9.5s. Like, I didn't just, yeah, I get double my money now, no problem. Like, that's just what the market wanted. It's what market wants, effing 10s. Which is why CGC made the change. They knew people wanted 10s. They want to set collect when it comes to Pokemon cards. We gotta catch them all. And you're not going to catch them all if you're getting all 9.5s. It's just the way it is. Now, the price thing, I do agree. Like, there was a big change. So that's why we're seeing this tank, because everyone's trying to reap those gains right now. Like, everybody's selling to get those instant gains that came out of nowhere. But if you had the 9.5s, good on you. Not a lot of people did. Not a lot of people did. Even next comment, iFOMO23. Even post-graded, we are still pre-grading cards. This is the play. Even post-graded, we are still pre-grading. Basically, that's basically it. So I look at cards that crack. You're buying the card, not the label. So 100% agree. Next comment. Thomas is a pro. I personally prefer the new CGC slabs. PSA is still holding those premiums just because of the time they've have in it, and I feel like yeah. So basically, it's interesting. So not all markets are this way. Like, look at video games. VGA had been grading video games forever. WATA came in, and then they clapped them. WATA selling for premiums. CGC selling for a premium. CGC and WATA are like pretty damn close in sale prices. Nothing is like the PSA premium on cards for the most part. Maybe comic books and CGC, but I feel like there are some others that aren't too bad. It's more that what's inside of it. Like, if you come to me with a #1 Superman graded by a 123 grading company and the thing's minty, you're paying for the freaking comic book most of the time. Most of the price is coming from the freaking condition of the card. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Definitely time is a factor. Time does heal all wounds. It does in most cases. So this will be similar. A lot of people got hurt over the first time CGC changed when they were giving out 8.5s. A lot of people got hurt the second time and probably the third time. So again, not sponsored by CGC. It just, I like a good product. I like graded guards. I use my code Dagreenshiz to get a graded guard. They look nice, by the way, clean. But yeah, interesting. Up next, Smitty Werbin 5501. Haven't watched you in a minute, bro, and you're slimming up. Can see it in your face. Keep it up, G. Thanks, dude. Appreciate you. Catch 'em all collectibles with the next comment. The whole zero value in this slab can't be a thing. LOL. Card is still it. Card is still the card. People act like grading is irreversible. I know you know this. Just speaking into the void. Well, thanks for speaking into the void, Dan. But yeah, totally agree. Yeah. So basically, in my video, I said the downside risk. The downside risk of this $300 card going to zero, it can't happen. Like the slab, sure, like CGC goes under. The slab, is basically trash at that point, right? Like, there's nothing backing the slab. The card is still the card. You can take it out of the case, send it to somebody else. There's still the value. So the downside risk of like a $300 10 is not that bad when PSAs are selling for 1,000 plus. Agree completely. Next up, Mr. Walrus. Nah. He said, nah, if I'm selling a PSA 10, no way in hell I'm comping for a CGC 10 or vice versa. We need to acknowledge these cards are treated differently because of the label, and not that to a lot of people it matters. Totally agree. Kind of, not really. But so when the buyer, as the seller, for sure, it's a double standard. You're coming to me, I'm selling this PSA 10, I'm comping PSA prices all effing day. Me as the smart seller, I'm grabbing anything I can do to get you to chop price. I'll show you a picture of my granny. I don't even care. I'll do whatever it takes for you to drop your price. And if I got comps in CGC slabs, a lot of people should be doing this. It's intelligent. It makes sense. You're buying the card, not the grade. If I'm, like I used it in the video, buying the first edition Charizard, I'm not going to go buy one for $200,000 that looks worse than the CGC one that sold for 45 grand. That bitch is going to sit on the market forever. Like, it's you're done. So those are definitely, the comps from CGC are going to affect PSA prices. There's nothing you can say about it. It's just the way it is. Next comment, Cash Cody. I love CGC, but it makes me sick how much less my cards are worth, even though they are the same quality or better than the PSA graded example. Yeah, feels rough. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that. That does feel bad. If you're grading with CGC, it feels rough. There is a little bit more, in my opinion, because they are friendlier with print lines. They are friendlier with dents in general in cards. There is some things you could do to game the game with optimizing your grades. But in general, straight up one-to-one, CGCs are going to be a little bit less value on average. But that's if you're grading with them. Again, my recommendation, if you're strictly trying to flip cards, PSA is probably the play. Like, if you're strictly just flipping cards, even I don't know. It's to each his own. I love the CGC slab, so most of my collection has been trending towards that direction. I'm probably 50-50 right now. Like, in this moment in time, my PC items are probably 50 PSA, 50% PSA, 50% CGC. See how it goes. Up next, another Catch 'em all collectibles. He says, sell what you think is overvalued, buy or hold what you think is undervalued. I think a lot of these CGC 10 Zards and most cards that sold will outperform percentage-wise PSA 10s. Not holding either, though, to be fair. Conditional premium, too universally crazy. Yeah, exactly. So, again, that's the downside risk, the upside potential for some of these cards. $20,000 PSA card turning into $40,000 versus a CGC of the same card in a 10 going from 10 to 20. Like, it's which one's more likely to happen, assuming both companies are here forever, all right? So obviously you would say there's maybe a little more risk with CGC because of how new they are in the last 3 years, but I think they're doing all right. We'll see. Pikachu commented, any card I want to collect graded that isn't a part of PSA registry isn't being graded by myself personally, is and has been CGC. PSA stands are out here paying double for the same shit. Man, my YouTube just don't give an F about swearing, apparently. So, awesome. Yeah, I am right in the same boat as you, basically. I was buying PSA 10 Zapdos cards. CGC 10 Zapdos cards didn't exist in the vintage category for the first year and a half of the company's existence at all. So that was not even an option. If I wanted a 9.5, I'm all set, bro. I'd rather, at the time, I was chasing the 10s and not buying 9.5. I was just not a fan of 9.5s. Like, if I knew I was not ready to take the risk, of buying a 9.5, cracking, because there was a decent premium on a 9.5 to go into a 10. I didn't like that risk. And it wasn't really at the point where I could buy a 9.5, crack it, and go for a CGC 10, because the grading was still pretty strict for the most part back when I was buying a lot of the big 10s. So I went for the PSA 10s. Unfortunate, but obviously that's been transitioning now. Michigan Wolverines commented, shout out to the big house. Go Blue. I live about 30 minutes from there. Shout out to you guys. The difference between PSA and CGC isn't just plastic. I agree. I think he made this comment because I went like this. I was like, this is 30 cents. This is 30 cents. I did that in the video. I completely agree. I was trying to make that not as much about the discussion. Totally agree. Huge differences between the slabs in general. Huge differences. I've had videos explaining my personal benefits about which I think is best and blah, 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 but totally agree with you. The Digital Monster 3130 commented, let's not ignore the fact that CGC labels and cases are super clear, high quality, and just look cleaner. Wow, that's perfectly timed. Yeah, nailed it. Up next, Pokey Retro Fan. People are buying the slab with the red label and are willing to pay up to 10 times more. No one is buying the card anymore. It's sad but true. I doubt when most persons buy a card, they even take the time to look at the card inside the slab and examine / enjoy it. I don't care how much you love PSA, CGC, or Beckett. If you're willing to pay 3 times more for the same card in similar condition because of the slab, that's it. That it's then just effing dumb. Yeah, no, it's pretty much where I was at exactly with the video. About summed it up there in about 2 sentences that I failed to read effectively. Driver and Chaser, I am a fan of your effing foul A mouth. GD, you bring the MFing thunder. That was an awesome comment. Shout out to you, Driver and Chaser. Very cool. I try to keep it kind of clean with my my fake swear words that I use. And up next, the Mexican Hipster 6572 commented, the market just doesn't have confidence in CGC for whatever it may be. They're still too new in the card market. It's in like 20 years, they'll probably command more money. You can just get a company new to card grading and expect them to command the same premium as a company that has been doing it for over 20 years. So my argument here is, yeah, PSA is and was the only show in town for so long. All of the high-end collectors, for the most part, and just collectors, that's all that was available to them for the most part, besides Beckett. They were pretty small potatoes for the most part. Said that probably 7 times, but yeah, I think time. It's just going to take time, and I think people are coming around to all of it. Obviously, they've a lot more acceptance on the new label and all those other things. I don't know how many people I've seen rip the new labels, and they're like, oh, wow, they actually look good now. Like, it was crazy. Absolutely crazy. So just time. It'll be an awesome few years to see how this thing goes. Elvis TCG commented, CGC has no credibility, especially with the recent changes. People don't trust the company nor the grades. With that said, doesn't matter who grades it, that card isn't worth 500K. Dude does not like the Pikachu Illustrator, I'll tell you that. So I'm not a fan of it either. That card, population 40-ish plus and counting, I don't even know. But yeah, it's crazy how some of the older 97 Pika trophies, lower pop, fat, chonky chews are just not it. It's the Illustrator's the poster child because of what it's been through, its history and YouTube and all the other content it's seen. The articles and the Logan Paul especially don't help the case. But yeah, it's crazy. The other comments, CGC has no credibility, especially with recent changes. I give them more credibility. They're honing up to their issues, making changes for the collector. I mean, I like it. I like them making changes to better themselves. I make changes in my life all the time. It is what it is. At least they're making changes for the better, in my opinion. I think that was a good change. People don't trust the company nor the grades. I mean, I do. I guess my opinion, I've seen and have graded with them a bunch. I look at cards graded by them. You'll see maybe a little bit of differences, but nothing that you don't see at PSA or BGS. So lots of differences there. Riley P12301. I'll still use CGC. If it is a clean card, can always cross CGC long-term hold and buying. Also, people don't seem to realize it's not CGC or PSA market. It's the trading card market as a whole. Why limit yourself to 2/3 of the market? Yeah. It is what it is. You can grade whatever you want, whatever you feel is the best. But I have a hard time buying at that much of a increased value. So you are holding, grading, buying with them long term. It is what it is. You're grading with them with CGC. Like I said, if you're grading all 10s with CGC and all 10s with PSA, you're going to have a little bit less value there in your slabs for sure. Maybe just a little bit less liquidity in your slabs, but the card, not the grade, long term. See what happens. Time will tell. Pokey Retro Fan back. I love CGC, and I'm a CGC diehard because they do grade better than PSA. Slabs are way nicer also, but I'm no sheep. CGC is fairly new to grading. They are making changes that obviously aren't sitting well with collectors, even though those were diehard fans of theirs. Sure, eventually people will eventually warm up to them, but ultimately CGC is to blame here. They should have never have changed 9.5s to 10s. Yes, it is the same grading standard, but it still runs people the wrong way. They should have kept subgrades and perfect 10s. I do love the new pristine gold labels that sell better than PSA 10s for me personally. I sold a few recently above the PSA 10s go for. People still love and respect these. However, the gem mint 10s are not doing well. Yes, I know the card are mint, but there is such a stigma around them, and people are avoiding them like the plague. Shake my head. Then you have the whole issue of them grading cards cut by scissors. Shiny Vert is a POS, by the way, who only did this for his own ego and views, but still. So, holy cow, lots to unpack there. Kind of going to summarize real quickly. He's a diehard CGC fan, but he's not a fan with the changes, and he doesn't like that CGC is grading cut cards. Every grading company's effed up severely, like upside down cards in every grading slab. PSA, CGC, Beckett, PSA and Beckett grading the fake first edition stamp cards. CGC did not do that to my knowledge yet. But yeah, grading cut cards, the guy, like, you can't just go and try and deceive a company. Of course, auto ban, like step one, auto ban. Like, you can't just try to deceive a company intentionally. You're going to get banned. Of course, you're going to succeed. Like, sometimes it can happen. Like, there's a reason you've been banned. Like, you shouldn't do that because it's not good. So, but yeah, interesting. Yeah, I've already discussed it a little bit. The 9.5s, the 10s. In my opinion, it was good for collectors. Like, I feel like the stock in CGC was less and less cards were getting graded every month, in the most part. It seemed. I remember going and doing and looking and seeing, like, the number of graded cards every month that CGC was declining and declining and declining. People weren't getting effing 10s. It was a problem. Nobody wants to send 500 cards to CGC hoping to get 4 pristines and get a bunch of 9.5s rammed up their anus. It is not great. It does not feel good. Up next, TCM Wawa Arnold. What will happen is that whoever is selling the PSA 10 and you try to offer CGC 10 prices, they will just pass on your offer and move on to the next customer. Agreed. Most of them will. It'll be... it's going to be a scary time if it ever comes, where all these people with their PSA 10 slabs with their 3x evaluations over CGC cards, more people start looking, hey, this card's in better condition. But like, if they get 20 potential buyers coming to them saying, hey, this card better condition, sold CGC slab for half the price, what are we going to do? He's going to be like, well, this is a PSA 10. I mean, well, good luck. So it'll be interesting once the education starts happening a little bit. The Hoenn Bazaar. CGC doesn't do well at auctions, but they do great as bins by announce. Not a lot does great at auctions. A lot, most things being auctioned, PSA, CGC, BGS, agreed. I think the CGC definitely has less liquidity. Like, there's less people searching CGC 10s on eBay, so you're gonna have less buyers. So it makes complete sense. So yeah, I agree. They're not doing great, but neither does the PSAs, the Beckett's. Auctions just aren't great in general if you're trying to maximize your money. Up next, the Pull Father. I made out on the Heritage auction. Buy the card, not the label. So that's awesome. Look forward to seeing his video recap. Hopefully he has one. Up next, BTHOJH9849 said, I swear some of y'all cannot grasp the concept that old CGC 9.5s and the new CGC 10 were exactly the same condition is gem mint. Guess what? PSA 10s are also gem mint. Sheesh. Get it through your heads, folks. All three are evaluated at the same condition. My goodness, right now, it's just the better move to find a clean CGC 10 over a PSA 10 because of the premium placed on the PSA 10s. Yeah. Yep. Basically, it's about it. Brad G. Card says he called the 500K in the last Pokey Flips. Called the sale of the Illustrator. Congratulations, sir. Smack Daddy 710, shout out to you for the comment from someone that collects both. Hey, oh, we forgot the T. They will never reach the price of a PSA slab because all CGC 10s aren't 10s, they are 9.5s. Therefore, every CGC 10 is flawed. When they graded 9.5 gem mint, they were great, but now they kind of have shot themselves in the foot. They copied Beckett, didn't seem to work. Now they copy PSA and doesn't seem to work either. That's just my thought. So again, going back to what they did, the number of cards being graded was declining month over month, it seemed, when we were doing our monthly recaps on the podcast. Making the change, people wanted 10s. And a lot more people are sending cards in to get graded. So see how, and they also decreased the price from $15 or whatever it was to $9 something if you have the premium membership. But yeah, so the price helps a lot, but also giving out 10 simultaneously is huge. Yeah, so I've talked about that enough. Cafe 100 mile per hour 6. It seems like you're comparing CGC 10 / old 9.5 with PSA 10. Yes. Your average player 9356. Are we buying these to crack? 100%. That is an option. You can be buying these cheap old CGC 10s if they look good enough. Crack them out. Risk warning. Risk. Not all of them will. Not all of them will. Danny NE9KO. Why should people get free money just for upgrading cards CGC 9.5 to 10 and get the same price as PSA 10? Not going to happen. People are always going to pay the 9.5 price. Wow, y'all are beating this one to death. People want effing 10s. They were graded gem mint. CGC did themselves a disfavor by calling it a 9.5 gem mint. It was basically the same condition as the PSA 10. Basically, like literally, it was like if you look at like the CGC scale, CGC Pristine 10 is a really nice looking card most of the time. CGC Gem Mint 10 now, as it sits, you either upgraded your 9.5s or you're grading CGC Gem Mint 10s now. That entire range covers like a PSA not great 10 or a PSA good 10. PSA just calls them all 10s. There is dog shit 10s. There are some really good black label type 10s. It's just a huge range. CGC just divided it up between two different names. The 9.5 changing to a 10, it was like the same grading scale. You might not have graded a long time ago with CGC. They were handing out 8.5s to 10s all the time. Shout out to Poke Knowledge Cards. He's upgraded a ton of 8.5s, CGC cards to 10s at PSA. Dude got absolutely obliterated by them back in the day. It just, like, the card, not the grade, dude. GMD023. I wouldn't touch CGC with a 10-foot pole these days. What about a 7-foot pole? What about a 7-foot pole? Nostalgianomics. Come on, just admit it, bro. The Cabal Grading Company is where cards go to die. The Cabal Grading Company is where cards go to die. I don't even know what to think about. I was trying to just digest that comment. It's where they go to die. I mean, a lot of people do crack CGC cards to go into PSA slabs. You do get some premiums on pristine 10s. Gem Mint 10 1-to-1 with PSA is, I'd say, it's cheaper than PSA. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I guess I don't fully understand where that means they go to die. Assuming you're sending your cards all to CGC, and when they end up in the plastic, they just aren't worth anything, is kind of what I'm taking the comment as. Buy the card, not the grade, man. That's all I'm saying. That's it. Skater Nesto said slab it with the comment. 100%. Raw, nah. Up next, Kenna9135. Just seems everyone hates CGC. Well deserved. What? This dude, that was an awesome comment. Just seems everyone hates CGC. Well deserved. So I guess he completely agrees with it. That's pretty funny. Mike Dogs 9409. CGC is garbage and has no credibility with all the changes over the last few years. This is not unexpected for most of us, as CGC won't make it. Well, we will see. Time will tell. Appreciate you guys stepping in. Long video here for my 600th video. Again, appreciate the likes. Hit the sub button. Appreciate you sticking around. I've been here for a little while. 600 videos is awesome. Can't believe I've had that many. So this was cool, kind of going through all these comments. Appreciate all the love and support, everybody. Have a good one. Peace.